We've just walked over to a local flower festival. Not any flower festival. This was one that I had been asked last minute to do an exhibit for. So with a friend, I came over on Friday evening in the middle of a torrential rainstorm to set up on the windowsill underneath a beautiful modern stained glass window. I think it's called the Mulberry window, commemorating a local designer who designed the Mulberry bridges that were used in World War II. I'm a bit rusty on my history there, but I'll see what I can find out, and I'll post a link to details in the notes underneath this video. So come along with me as I explore the completed flower festival. Welcome to St Peter's Church in the village of Oare, just outside Faversham. This is a tiny church, and if you walk round to the back, you'll see a beautiful view over Oare Creek. We quite often walk our dog over in this direction and pack a picnic and sit on the benches and enjoy the view. And once you're inside the church, you can see the beautiful roof formation. A little bit of history in the Garden of England. The theme for this flower festival was memories, which I thought was such a great idea. So let me take you down to the seaside for some seaside holiday memories. Check out those sand castles. I think they've been made from plastic plant pots covered in glue and then sprinkled with sand. It's such a great idea. And there's a couple little crabbing nets at the bottom there. And the blue of the waves with the buddleia and the white of the surf with the gypsophila and white gladioli. And then the scents of the sea with this little blue tulle and some little fish and wooden fishes swimming underneath. This is such a pretty arrangement, walking down the aisle, the bride's bouquet and then the wedding rings on the open Bible. I love this memory here on the windowsill behind the altar, model villages, and for me that is the memory that goes with my childhood summer holidays. There's a row of houses across the back, a terrace in yellow, red and green, and then you move across to the church, and in front of them lots of pretty little arrangements as if you're stepping into someone's front garden. Do you fancy an ice cream? Perfect if you're watching your weight. So this is called Holiday Memories with a whoops to it, which you'll see in a moment. One of the ice creams has fallen onto the floor. I love the simplicity of this arrangement called Sailing Across the Ocean, with the almost translucent sail of a boat and the blue of the waves, and I love the way that arch of the eucalyptus gives that sense of movement. There are two arrangements on this windowsill. The one to the left is called Formerly My Garden, which is an arrangement using dried flowers, perhaps a sign of that extreme heat we've been having this summer. And the one on the other side called Wet Summers, which is hanging down almost like a living mobile with lots of little jewel-like droplets to give that sense of rain. So the two work really well together, the hot dry summer on one side and remembering all those long summer holidays when it seems to do nothing but rain. This arrangement is called Skills We Learnt, with lots of different placements. So first of all, a stunning bright arrangement to catch your eye, and then up above, knitting and crocheting. So those hyacinths there in this bulb have been knitted. They were just absolutely incredible. Moving down, there's memories of gardening with Grandad. The lovely profusion of white in an old metal watering can. And then cooking. Can you see the recipe book? And down below is a pie made out of yellow leaves and gypsophila, cooking with Mum and Nan. And this is my arrangement. I can't take all the credit. My friend Lisa helped do the arranging with me. I wanted to go foam free with this arrangement, so we were really pleased to find out that the windowsill was flat and it was quite wide, so it would easily take these jugs that we arranged our flowers in, and they've got little inserts of chicken wire, and right on the right hand side there's a metal flower bucket, and that's actually weighted down with a brick, so I didn't want it to topple over. The dahlias were supplied by Sue at Country Lane Flowers, and then the British grown sunflowers and gladioli were from my local supermarket. So our theme, our memory, was Faversham Hop Festival. So the Hop Festival took place last weekend. It's always in the first weekend in September after a 2-year break for coronavirus. And this is the stunning mulberry stained glass window. I bet you can guess the name of this arrangement. It's called Autumn Walk, and it had a matched cousin, the other side of the wooden door, which was called Springtime. But doesn't it just sum up this season of the year? There's blackberries, hawthorn berries, and there's eye-catching red roses. As you know, Queen Elizabeth II passed away just a few days ago, so this was a last-minute addition to the Flower Festival, the memory of our well-loved Queen, set on a purple cloth, which is the colour of her platinum Jubilee. I'm leaving the church now to go and enjoy the view out over Oare Creek, having a cup of tea, a chat with my husband, and a slice of delicious coffee cake before I head over to the bric-a-brac stall to find some treasures to take home. This painting caught my eye. Now, did you see the video I uploaded last week? The one when I went to the Brocante and onto Bateman's, and I noticed that the Brocante had absolutely loads of these vintage style oil paintings, and I was so tempted to buy it. I'm rather hoping my husband might paint me one for Christmas. And talking of Queen Elizabeth II, I couldn't resist this little, what I assume is an ashtray marking her silver jubilee in 1977. There's a souvenir here of Germany. And then I picked up this jasperware heart-shaped dish until I realised that the little motif was the wrong way up. And that was obviously an ashtray too, but I didn't bring that home with me. Now that I've shared some of my highlights from the Flower Festival, how about sticking around to the end of the video and I'll show you how I got prepared for my exhibit. I settled on my memory as being the Hop Festival. Number one, because it had recently taken place, and I'd actually posted this image on my Instagram page. But I pride myself in never having missed a Hop Festival in the 20 plus years that I've lived in Faversham, apart from the 2 that were cancelled because of the pandemic. Once I'd settled on my idea, I then shopped my home and started sorting out what kind of containers I could use for my exhibit. So I've gone for mainly this cream stoneware, and one of the jugs is a vintage style shepherd neem jug, so it's got the logo on the front of that. And I've also got some jam jars to one side, and I'm starting now to pack everything together. So I like using these really large blue IKEA bags, and I've also got my green trug to one side where I'm going to put all my rubbish, basically all the cut ends and stems, and that goes straight into the compost heap when I get home. You can see me hesitating there as I'm packing everything together. You never quite know what you're going to need, so in actual fact I never did use that huge ball of twine or that ball of string, but if I'd wanted it, it was going to be there. So I'm lining my bag with a towel. Number one, because I don't want my containers to get broken, but number two, it's always a really good idea to have a towel to mop up any spills. I also take a dustpan and brush as well. The next thing I need to do is to condition my flowers. So some of my flowers, the dahlias, came from a local flower farmer, and I supplemented those with some larger, more structural elements. And I bought some lilies and some sunflowers and some gladioli too. So you can see me here unwrapping the stems and then cutting the ends direct into my compost bucket and putting those into a bucket of water with flower food, so they're all ready and in tip-top condition, ready for me to use. So here I am, all packed up and ready to go with my beautiful dahlias and 2 very large heavy bags from IKEA. Thank goodness Lisa's coming with me to help me unload. So the rain was just absolutely awful. There was some localised flooding as we went along, quite dramatic after all that hot, dry weather we've had so recently over the summer. As you can imagine, we got absolutely drenched unloading the car and taking those heavy bags into the church. So I was working on the left-hand side of the arrangement, the windowsill, and Lisa was working on the right. So we had a plan and we agreed that the arrangements didn't need to look identical. They needed to look like they were sisters rather than twins. So you can see from that sketch drawing there, I think we did a pretty good job of interpreting our brief. Hope you've enjoyed following along with me as I took my husband and my dog up to the flower festival. Lisa did visit the day before me, and she did tell me that she'd bought all the good stuff from the bric-a-brac stall, but little does she know that it was being refreshed on the day I visited too. So I do hope you've enjoyed following along and catching a little bit of the behind the scenes glimpse as to what goes into preparing for a flower festival. And if you haven't already, do like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps it to grow. I'll see you next time.